My dear brothers and sisters, take a moment to reflect on this profound truth. You are not here by accident. You are not a random occurrence in this vast universe. Every heartbeat that pulses within your chest, every breath that fills your lungs, every moment of your existence is written, designed, and willed by Allah. The same Lord who created the stars and galaxies looked upon you and said, *B*, and you came into existence. This is not random. This is divine intention. Allah created you for a reason, and that reason is far greater than what you see in your reflection, far deeper than what you feel in your emotions, and far more meaningful than what this world can ever define for you. When you think about how carefully Allah created everything, how the sun rises with precision, how every leaf falls with purpose, how even a raindrop knows exactly where it is meant to land, do you really believe your life is the one thing He left without meaning? No, my brothers and sisters, the same Allah who perfectly planned the orbit of the planets has perfectly planned your path. Every trial you face, every joy you experience, every delay that frustrates you, every door that opens or closes, all of it is a piece of your divine design. You see, when we forget our purpose, we begin to drift. We start to think our life is just about survival, about making it through the day, about collecting wealth, about chasing comfort, or about earning recognition. But Allah didn't create you for comfort, He created you for greatness. He didn't put you on this earth so that you could merely exist. He placed you here so you could make an impact, so that through your faith, through your actions, through your resilience, the world could witness a reflection of His light. Sometimes you may wonder why your life feels so difficult, why certain dreams slip away, why you face rejection, why pain follows you even when your intentions are pure. And that's where the wisdom of Allah shines brightest, because the purpose of your creation was never to live a life of ease, it was to live a life of meaning. Allah molds you through your experiences. The pressure, the pain, the confusion, they are not signs that you are forgotten. They are proofs that you are being prepared. Just like a diamond is formed through immense pressure, your soul is refined through the challenges you face. Every prophet went through hardship. Think of Yusuf as separated from his family, thrown into a well, sold into slavery, imprisoned without fault, yet all of it was part of a plan that led him to power, wisdom, and faith. What looked like abandonment was actually divine preparation. The same is true for you. You might not see it now, but Allah's wisdom is weaving something extraordinary through the threads of your life. You are not lost, you are being led, but we live in a world that constantly tries to make us forget this truth. We are taught to measure our worth through achievements, likes, money, beauty, or validation. And when we fall short of those worldly standards, we begin to think we are failures. But Allah never judged you by your wealth or your fame. He looks at your heart. He looks at your effort. He looks at how much you turn back to Him when the world tries to pull you away. If the Creator of the universe has chosen to look at your heart, how can you allow the world to define your value? Your reason for existence is not hidden somewhere out there. It's already within you. Allah placed it deep in your soul before you were even born. You just have to awaken it through faith, reflection, and action. When you pray sincerely, when you help someone in need, when you hold back from sin, when you forgive, when you stay patient, when you keep moving forward despite your pain, you are living your reason. You are fulfilling the purpose for which you were created. Sometimes that purpose may not be grand in the eyes of people. It might not make headlines or draw applause, but in the sight of Allah, even a small sincere deed can outweigh mountains. Maybe your purpose is to raise a righteous child, to inspire someone with your kindness, to support your family through honesty, or to carry someone else's burden quietly. Maybe your purpose is to remind a broken soul that Allah still loves them. You may not even realize the power of your presence in someone's life, but Allah does, and that's what matters. When you truly believe that Allah created you for a reason, something shifts inside you. You stop comparing your journey with others. You stop envying what they have because you know that your story is written by the one who knows you best. You start embracing the pace of your life, the delays, the detours, the disappointments, because you realize that what is meant for you will come to you at the exact moment Allah has decreed. You learn to trust His timing more than your plans. You start to walk with purpose, to speak with sincerity, and to act with faith. And this belief changes how you see failure. Because when you understand that everything happens by divine design, you stop labeling your setbacks as failures and start seeing them as lessons. Every closed door protects you from something not meant for you. Every heartbreak purifies your intentions. Every delay strengthens your patience. And every hardship brings you closer to the one who created you. That is the real meaning of purpose, to see the hand of Allah in every moment of your existence. But it takes awareness to live this truth. It requires reflection to remember who you are and why you're here. You are not a body chasing desires. You are a soul seeking connection. You are not meant to live on autopilot. You are meant to live consciously, with direction, with gratitude, with discipline. Allah didn't breathe life into you just so you could wake up, work, and sleep. He gave you life so that every moment could be a step closer to Him. That's your purpose, to live in a way that your soul recognizes its origin and longs to return to it beautifully. So whenever you feel lost, whenever you feel unmotivated, whenever you feel like life has no meaning, remind yourself of this truth. Allah created you intentionally. You are here because He wants you here. You exist because He has chosen you to fulfill something no one else can. You are a vital piece of His grand design. And until your final breath, your mission continues to strive, to believe, to serve, to love, and to grow in your connection with the one who made you. And when you live with that awareness, you'll notice something remarkable. Life starts to feel lighter. The burdens don't disappear, but they make sense. The path doesn't get easier, but it feels purposeful. You stop asking, why me? And start saying, Alhamdulillah, it's me. Because you realize that every test is an opportunity, every struggle is a lesson, and every moment is a chance to fulfill the reason for which you were created. So never think that you are ordinary. Never think that your existence doesn't matter. The very fact that you are breathing right now is proof that Allah still has something written for you. Something only you can do. Something only your heart can handle. Live your life knowing that you were crafted by the hands of divine wisdom, shaped by mercy, and placed in this world to leave behind a legacy of faith, resilience, and purpose. You are not random. You are chosen. And when you finally embrace that truth, the entire world begins to look different, because now you're not just living, you're living for the reason Allah created you. My dear brothers and sisters, we live in a time where it has become so easy to say, I'm tired. We say it when we wake up early, when we try to study, when we attempt to pray, when we work towards something meaningful. I'm tired has become the excuse that stops us from reaching the potential that Allah has placed within us. But the truth is, most of the time, you're not tired, you're undisciplined. You are not weak. You've just allowed comfort to control you. You have the strength, but you've forgotten how to use it. Allah has given you a body capable of effort, a mind capable of focus, and a soul capable of greatness. Yet we surrender to laziness as though it were inevitable, when in reality, it is a choice we make every day. When you say, I'm tired, ask yourself, are you physically tired, or are you mentally surrendering before you even begin? Because when the purpose is strong, fatigue disappears. Think about it. The same person who says, I'm too tired to pray Fajr, can spend hours awake scrolling through a phone, or talking, or watching something meaningless. The problem isn't energy, it's direction. The mind has the energy for distraction, but not the discipline for devotion. That's not tiredness, that's misplaced focus. Allah has designed the human being with incredible capacity. You were not created to give up at the first sign of difficulty. You were created with resilience. Allah says in the Quran, asterisk, we have certainly created man in toil. Asterisk, you were made to struggle, to persevere, to overcome. Discipline is not something you are born with. It is something you build. And the foundation of that discipline is purpose, knowing why you are doing what you're doing. Because when your why is connected to Allah, you will find strength in places you never knew existed. Look at the Prophet and his companions. They faced hunger, pain, loss, and exhaustion beyond what we can imagine. Yet they never said, we are tired. They said, Allah is sufficient for us. They found strength not in comfort, but in conviction. Their fuel was faith. They were disciplined not because life was easy, but because their purpose was clear. They knew they were not living for the world's approval, they were living for Allah's pleasure. When you lose discipline, you begin to confuse rest with comfort, and comfort with peace. But they are not the same. Comfort gives temporary relief. Discipline gives lasting peace. Discipline might hurt in the beginning, waking up for prayer, controlling your tongue, managing your time, avoiding sin, but that struggle leads to a peace that comfort can never give. Laziness feels easy in the moment, but it always leads to regret. Discipline feels hard in the moment, but it always leads to growth. The question is, which pain are you willing to live with, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret? Many people today pray for success, pray for peace, pray for purpose, but they do not build the habits that align with those prayers. You cannot ask Allah for strength and then refuse to train yourself. You cannot ask for guidance but continue walking toward distractions. Faith and discipline must walk hand in hand. Faith gives direction. Discipline gives motion. Without discipline, faith remains an idea, a beautiful thought never brought to life. But when you pair faith with discipline, your life becomes an act of worship. Every effort, every routine, every consistent step becomes a testimony that you are serious about your purpose. Think about how Allah structured our worship: 5 daily prayers, fasting from dawn to sunset, giving charity regularly, performing Hajj with specific rituals and timings. It's all discipline. Worship trains the believer to live with consistency, not emotion. Because emotion fades, but discipline stays. You may not always feel motivated to pray, to be kind, or to work hard, but if you are disciplined, you do it anyway because you know you're doing it for Allah, not for your mood. Discipline is faith in action. The truth is, when you say, I'm tired, often it's your nafs trying to protect you from effort. The nafs loves comfort. It whispers, you've done enough, even when you've just started. It tells you to rest, not because your body needs it, but because your desires fear growth. The nafs hates discipline because discipline means control, and control means mastery. But the one who masters his nafs is the one who finds real freedom. The Quran reminds us, asterisk, as for those who feared standing before their Lord and restrained themselves from desires, indeed, paradise will be their refuge. Asterisk, discipline in this life is the price of eternal freedom in the next. Every great achievement, every act of worship, every transformation begins with small acts of discipline. The prayer you force yourself to wake up for, even when you're tired, the temptation you resist, the time you manage wisely, all of these shape your character. They build spiritual muscle. Just like a body grows stronger through consistent effort, your soul grows through spiritual discipline. If you stop at the first sign of tiredness, you'll never discover the strength that Allah placed within you. And understand, this tiredness is not always a sign to stop. Sometimes it's a sign to push forward. When you work for something meaningless, tiredness feels like a burden. But when you work for something sacred, it feels like honor. A mother stays awake for her child and feels joy in her exhaustion because love gives meaning to her fatigue. In the same way, when you strive for Allah, your tiredness becomes worship. Your discipline becomes a form of gratitude. Your persistence becomes proof of your sincerity. The difference between success and stagnation, between peace and regret, is not talent, it's discipline. How many people have dreams but never act on them? How many know what's right but never practice it? How many want to change but never take the first step? They are waiting for motivation, but motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes. Discipline, on the other hand, is steady. It says, even if I don't feel like it, I will do it because I know it's right. And when you keep showing up, Allah strengthens you in ways you cannot imagine. Do not confuse tiredness with weakness. You are stronger than you think. You are capable of far more than you realize. The problem is not that you are too tired. The problem is that you have not yet learned to control your focus. Your energy goes where your attention flows. If you constantly feed your mind with distractions, how will you ever have the strength to build discipline? But if you train your heart to remember Allah, to prioritize what matters, to stay consistent in your efforts, your energy will follow your purpose. This world rewards comfort in the moment, but Allah rewards effort in the end. Every step of discipline brings you closer to His mercy. Every time you push through laziness for His sake, He writes it down as worship. You may think no one sees your silent struggles, the early mornings, the controlled reactions, the private sacrifices, but Allah sees every moment, and that is enough reason to keep going. Discipline is not about perfection, it's about progress. It's not about never falling, it's about always getting back up. It's not about being the strongest, it's about staying sincere. The disciplined believer doesn't need applause or recognition. He finds satisfaction in knowing that Allah is pleased with his effort. And that satisfaction, that inner peace, is far more valuable than any worldly comfort. So the next time you say, I'm tired, pause and ask yourself, am I truly tired, or am I just avoiding effort? Remind yourself that your purpose is greater than your excuses. Remember that your body was made to move, your mind was made to grow, and your soul was made to strive. You were not created to surrender to laziness. You were created to overcome it. The one who learns to discipline his time, his habits, his emotions, and his heart is the one who discovers real strength. Because true power is not in controlling others, it's in controlling yourself. And when you discipline your life for the sake of Allah, He disciplines your destiny for your success. You're not tired, you're undisciplined. But the good news is discipline can be built. It starts with one prayer, one action, one consistent decision to rise every time you feel weak. And once you begin to master that, you'll see how Allah transforms your life from the inside out, because effort, when done for Him, is never wasted. My dear brothers and sisters, every purpose in life comes with a price. Every goal worth reaching, every dream worth pursuing, every spiritual station worth attaining requires effort. There is no greatness without struggle, no victory without sacrifice, no closeness to Allah without surrendering your comfort. And that is why the statement, I have a purpose, must always be followed by the question, am I willing to work for it? Because purpose without effort is just a wish. And Allah did not create you to wish, He created you to work, to strive, to rise, and to prove through your actions that you are serious about what you seek. You see, many of us want to feel purposeful, we want to feel driven, we want to achieve something meaningful, but we hesitate to take the steps required to reach it. We say, I want to change, yet we hold on to old habits. We say, I want peace, but we won't let go of distractions. We say, I want to be close to Allah, but we won't discipline our tongues or hearts, and then we wonder why we feel stuck. The truth is, we want the results without the effort, the outcome without the obedience, the fruit without the labor. But Allah's system does not work that way. His mercy is vast, yes, but His blessings are given to those who strive. Allah says, asterisk, and that there is not for man except that good for which he strives. Asterisk, it's not about what you wish for, it's about what you work for. The beauty of effort in the path of Allah is that it never goes unnoticed. Even if no one sees you, Allah sees you. Even if no one praises your consistency, Allah records it. Even if your results don't show immediately, your reward is already written. Every small effort, the prayer you fight your sleep to perform, the sin you resist though your heart struggles, the kindness you show when your ego burns, each of these is a sign of your seriousness toward your purpose. And every step, no matter how small, draws you closer to Him. But what stops us from putting in that effort? It's often fear of failure, fear of discomfort, fear of not seeing immediate results. We want certainty before we commit. But that's not how faith works. Faith means taking a step even when you don't see the full path, trusting that Allah will make a way where you can't see one. The effort itself becomes a declaration of your faith. When you strive sincerely, you are telling Allah, I believe that you will take care of the rest. Think about the stories of those who came before us. Every prophet's journey was marked by struggle, not ease. When Ibrahim stood in front of the fire, he didn't see safety, he saw obedience. When Musa stood before the sea, he didn't see escape, he saw trust. When Maryam gave birth alone under a palm tree, she didn't see comfort, she saw surrender. And when our beloved prophet was driven out of Makkah, insulted, wounded, and exhausted, he didn't say, "This is too hard." He said, "O Allah, if you are pleased with me, then I do not care." Their greatness was not in their success alone, it was in their willingness to put in the effort, no matter the cost. And this is the difference between wishing for purpose and living with purpose. The one who lives with purpose knows that hardship is part of the journey. You cannot expect to walk the path of meaning and be untouched by challenge. Allah tests you not to break you, but to refine you. He wants to see how badly you want what you say you want. Because when the soul is sincere, effort becomes the proof. Without effort, sincerity remains just words. We live in a world that glorifies quick results. We are conditioned to think that if something doesn't happen immediately, it isn't meant to be. But Allah's timing operates on a different rhythm, one that is designed to build your patience, your faith, and your gratitude. Sometimes He delays your success because He wants to strengthen your character. Sometimes He withholds what you desire because He wants you to mature enough to handle it. Sometimes He tests your endurance because He wants to raise your rank. Your effort is not wasted. It is being transformed into spiritual currency, stored with Allah until the perfect time. There are people who give up right before their breakthrough. They stop striving because they don't see the fruits of their labor. But if only they knew how close they were. If only they could see how Allah was rearranging things behind the scenes, preparing their heart, shaping their destiny. The effort you make today may not show results tomorrow, but it is never forgotten. Allah is too merciful to let your striving go unrewarded. Every drop of sweat, every tear shed in sincerity, every silent act of patience, it all counts. Effort is not about perfection, it's about persistence. Even the smallest consistent action carries more value than the grandest intention never acted upon. You don't need to do everything at once. You just need to start and keep going. The Prophet said, the most beloved deeds to Allah are those done consistently, even if they are small. Consistency is effort in motion. It's the daily decision to try again, even when you feel like giving up. It's choosing to show up even when your heart feels heavy. It's doing what's right even when no one notices. Effort is what transforms belief into reality. It's what separates dreamers from doers, talkers from achievers. You can read about success. You can pray for purpose. You can wish for peace, but until you take that first step, nothing changes. You have to move. You have to struggle. You have to fall and rise again. Because Allah never promised you an easy life, but He did promise you that every bit of effort done for His sake will be rewarded. He said, indeed, Allah does not allow the reward of the doers of good to be lost. And when you start to put in that effort, something beautiful happens inside you. You begin to respect yourself more, not because of what you've achieved, but because you know you're trying sincerely. Your heart feels lighter, your soul feels stronger. You start to see discipline not as a burden, but as a blessing. You realize that the struggle is shaping you into someone capable of carrying the purpose Allah has given you. It is through effort that faith becomes tangible. When you push yourself to pray despite exhaustion, when you restrain your anger when you're provoked, when you stay honest though it costs you, when you smile through your sadness, that's effort. That's faith in action. That's proof that your purpose is alive inside you. Because if it wasn't, you would have given up. But you didn't. You kept going. And that persistence is beloved to Allah. Don't wait for the perfect moment to begin. There will never be a perfect time, perfect energy, perfect circumstances. Start with what you have where you are with the intention of pleasing Allah. Effort done for His sake is never too small, and it's never in vain. What matters most is that you begin. Take one step toward Him, and He will come running toward you. The path of purpose is not meant to be smooth. It's meant to polish you, strengthen you, and humble you. The pain, the obstacles, the rejections, they are all part of your preparation. You may not always understand them, but one day you will look back and realize that every difficulty carried a lesson, every setback carried wisdom, and every effort brought you closer to becoming who you were meant to be. So the next time you find yourself saying, "It's too hard," remember nothing worth having comes easy. You cannot expect to achieve greatness while living in comfort. The Garden of Jannah was promised to those who worked, who struggled, who believed even when things didn't make sense. And that's what effort really means: doing your best, trusting Allah with the rest, and never losing hope in His mercy. Purpose requires effort, not excuses. Because on the day of judgment, Allah won't ask, "Did you succeed?" He will ask, "Did you try?" And if you can stand before Him and say, "Ya Allah, I tried, I gave my best," then you have already won. My dear brothers and sisters, there is a beautiful truth that many of us forget: discipline itself is a form of worship. It is not just about controlling your habits or managing your time. It is about aligning your daily actions with the will of Allah. It is the bridge that connects your intentions to your reality. Because every one of us has good intentions. Every believer says, "I want to pray more, I want to become better, I want to be closer to Allah." But intentions, no matter how sincere, mean nothing without consistent action. The difference between who you are and who you want to be is not desire, it is discipline. Discipline is not about harshness or rigidity. It is about commitment, a steady, conscious decision to live for something higher than your comfort. It is the quiet voice that whispers, "Do it for Allah," when your body says, "Not today." It is the patience that keeps you standing in prayer when your legs ache. It is the restraint that stops your tongue when anger rises. It is the humility that keeps you working hard even when no one is watching. This kind of discipline is not a restriction. It is liberation because it frees you from the chains of your desires and brings you closer to the peace that only Allah can give. When you look at the way Allah structured our faith, you realize that Islam itself is a training in discipline. 5 prayers a day, not when you feel like it, not when it's convenient, but at specific times every single day. Fasting in Ramadan, restraining your body and desires for an entire month, even when no one is there to see you. Zakat, giving away a portion of your wealth, even though your heart might want to keep it. Hajj, a journey of patience, sacrifice, and control. Everything in Islam teaches you that faith is not a feeling, it's a commitment. It is a daily decision to choose obedience over laziness, purpose over pleasure, and sincerity over comfort. The Prophet and his companions were the most disciplined of people. They understood that worship was not just something done in the mosque, it was a way of life. Their discipline showed in how they spoke, how they treated others, how they controlled their anger, how they forgave, how they smiled even in hardship. They didn't just believe in Allah, they lived like they believed in Allah. Their discipline was their worship, and their consistency was their strength. But today, we live in a time when discipline is seen as restriction, as if it takes away your freedom. We are told to follow your heart, do what makes you happy, live without rules. But that kind of freedom leads to chaos. Because when the heart is not disciplined, it becomes a slave to its desires. You begin to chase feelings instead of values. You begin to prioritize comfort over character. And soon, life feels empty, directionless, meaningless. True freedom is not doing whatever you want. True freedom is having control over yourself. The one who cannot control his impulses is not free. He is a prisoner of his own naf. But the one who learns discipline becomes powerful, peaceful, and purposeful. When you practice discipline for the sake of Allah, even the smallest act becomes an act of worship. Waking up early for Fajr is not just an alarm clock habit, it's a spiritual declaration that Allah is more important than sleep. Controlling your tongue is not just about good manners, it's about guarding your heart from sin. Resisting temptation is not just about willpower, it's about loving Allah more than your desires. That's why discipline is so beloved to Allah, because it transforms your ordinary routines into extraordinary acts of devotion. Many people wait to feel motivated before they act. They say, when I feel ready, I'll start praying, or when I feel spiritual, I'll start changing. But waiting for motivation is a trap. Motivation comes and goes, but discipline stays. Discipline says, even when I don't feel like it, I will still do it because Allah deserves my best. You don't always need to feel inspired to obey Allah. You just need to be sincere. The feeling will follow the action. Once you start moving toward Allah, He opens your heart and strengthens your resolve. But the first step that belongs to you. Discipline is not just for the strong, it is what makes you strong. You may think you are too weak, too inconsistent, too far gone. But Allah never expects perfection. He expects effort. He expects you to keep trying even when it's hard. He expects you to fight your laziness, your excuses, your distractions. And every time you do, He counts it. Every moment of self-control, every small victory over your desires, every consistent prayer, these are the moments that define your relationship with Him. There is beauty in consistency. It may not be glamorous, it may not draw attention, but it builds something inside you: integrity, peace, strength. You begin to trust yourself. You begin to feel proud, not in arrogance, but in gratitude, because you realize that Allah is helping you stay consistent, guiding your heart, and protecting your effort. And when you fall, because you will fall, your discipline helps you get back up. The disciplined believer doesn't give up after one failure. He uses it as fuel to do better. When you look at successful people in faith, in knowledge, in work, in character, you'll always find one common quality. They are disciplined. They don't rely on emotions. They rely on routines. They don't wait for the perfect moment. They make the moment perfect through action. In the same way, the believer succeeds when he brings discipline into his worship, his relationships, his words, his time, his heart. He knows that every moment of his life is a test, and he treats each day as a chance to prove his sincerity. Think about it. This way, discipline is the hidden ingredient behind every act of faith. When you make wudu carefully, that's discipline. When you lower your gaze, that's discipline. When you speak kindly despite anger, that's discipline. When you forgive instead of retaliating, that's discipline. And when you keep doing what's right even when no one sees you, that's the purest form of discipline, the kind that only Allah witnesses. But discipline is not something you develop overnight. It is built one decision at a time. You start small, maybe by praying on time, or by reading a few verses of Quran daily, or by controlling one habit that leads you away from Allah. Over time, these small acts become part of who you are. They shape your character. They create consistency, and soon you realize that what once felt difficult has become natural. That's the power of discipline. It transforms struggle into strength, effort into ease, and intention into transformation. If you want to change your life, start by disciplining your soul. Train it the way a gardener tends his plants, with patience, care, and consistency. Remove the weeds of laziness, water it with remembrance, expose it to the light of sincerity, and watch it grow into something beautiful. The disciplined soul becomes calm, confident, and content. It doesn't get easily swayed by temptation or emotion because it knows what it stands for. And remember, the goal of discipline is not to become perfect, but to become sincere. The one who strives with discipline, even if he fails 100 times, is better than the one who only dreams without acting. Allah does not expect you to be flawless, but He loves those who keep trying for His sake. The effort itself is worship. The struggle itself is reward. Every act of discipline brings you one step closer to Allah, and that closeness is the greatest success you can ever achieve. So let your discipline be your devotion. Let your routines become your remembrance. Let your actions speak louder than your intentions. Because faith that is not practiced fades, but faith that is disciplined endures. And when you live with that kind of discipline steady, sincere, and for Allah's sake, you'll find that your life becomes filled with barakah. Your heart becomes filled with peace, and your soul becomes anchored in purpose. Because in the end, discipline is not just a habit, it's a form of worship. It is your way of saying, Ya Allah, I'm trying. I'm not perfect, but I'm consistent. I'm not strong, but I'm sincere. And I will keep showing up for you. My dear brothers and sisters, when we talk about patience, we often think of it as simply waiting. Waiting for things to change, waiting for hardship to pass, waiting for prayers to be answered. But patience is so much deeper than waiting. It is not passive, it is active strength. It is not weakness, nor is it resignation. It is a quiet form of courage, the ability to trust Allah when everything in your life feels uncertain. It is the art of staying calm in the storm because you know the one who controls the storm. Every one of us faces moments in life when things don't go our way, times when doors close, when people disappoint us, when dreams collapse, when efforts seem to bear no fruit. In those moments, the heart becomes heavy and the mind begins to ask, why me? When will this end? How long must I endure? But patience teaches us something powerful. It teaches us that the story isn't over just because it hurts right now, that every delay, every struggle, every tear is part of a divine plan that your limited sight cannot yet see. You may not understand it today, but one day you will look back and realize that Allah was preparing you, not punishing you. Patience is not only about enduring pain, but doing so with faith. Anyone can go through hardship, but not everyone goes through it beautifully. The believer does, because the believer knows that behind every test is a lesson, behind every difficulty is a purification, and behind every delay is wisdom. Patience transforms suffering into spiritual growth. It turns chaos into calm, confusion into clarity, and loss into closeness to Allah. It is not the absence of emotion. You can cry, you can feel pain, you can break down, but through it all, your heart must whisper, I trust you, Allah. When you think of the great prophets, every one of them had to master patience. Prophet Job lost everything, his wealth, his health, even his loved ones, yet his heart remained firm. He did not complain of his pain, he only turned to Allah and said, indeed, adversity has touched me, and you are the most merciful of the merciful. That's patience, not pretending the pain doesn't exist, but knowing that Allah's mercy is greater than the pain. Prophet Yusuf spent years separated from his father, thrown into a well by his own brothers, imprisoned for a crime he didn't commit. But he never let bitterness consume him. When the time came for victory, and he stood in front of those same brothers, what did he say? No blame upon you today. May Allah forgive you. That is patience, the kind that forgives when you have the power to retaliate, that shows mercy when you have every right to be angry. And then there's the prophet, the most patient of all. He faced rejection, insult, loss, and betrayal, yet never allowed hatred to enter his heart. When he was stoned in Taif until his feet bled, he didn't curse his enemies. Instead, he prayed for their guidance. That is the highest level of patience, when you endure pain not just silently, but with compassion. When you respond to cruelty with kindness, to ignorance with understanding, to loss with gratitude. But patience is not only for great prophets. It is for every believer who struggles quietly. It is for the mother who stays up every night caring for her child. For the father who works tirelessly for his family, even when no one appreciates it. For the young man or woman who holds on to faith in a world that constantly tests it. For the person who fights temptation every day but still chooses obedience. These are the hidden warriors of patience, people who might not be praised by the world but are deeply loved by Allah. Patience is a sign that you trust Allah's timing more than your own desires. You see, we live in a world of instant results, instant communication, instant gratification, instant everything. But Allah's system is not instant. His wisdom unfolds slowly, beautifully, at the right time. When you plant a seed, it doesn't bloom overnight. You water it, nurture it, protect it, and wait. And when it finally blooms, it is worth the wait. That is how Allah works with your life. He plants blessings in unseen places, waters them with your tears, tests them with your patience, and then, when the time is right, He lets them bloom. But the real test of patience comes when you feel alone, when your du'as seem unanswered, when life feels heavy and silence surrounds you. That's when Shaitan whispers, Allah has forgotten you. But remember, Allah never forgets. Every dua you make is recorded. Every tear you shed is seen. Every hardship you bear is known. You may not see the answer immediately, but Allah is working behind the scenes in ways far greater than your imagination. Sometimes the delay is the mercy, and sometimes what you lost was never meant to stay. Patience is also about controlling your reactions, not just waiting for the storm to end, but staying kind within it. When someone wrongs you, patience means you don't lower yourself to their level. When life tests you, patience means you don't lose your faith. When things don't go your way, patience means you don't rush into sin just to escape the discomfort. True patience is restraint with dignity. It's choosing peace when you could choose anger, silence when you could choose to argue, prayer when you could choose despair. And the beauty of patience is that it is never wasted. Allah promises in the Quran, indeed, the patient will be given their reward without measure. Without measure meaning infinite beyond calculation. Every time you hold your tongue, every time you forgive, every time you stay calm instead of lashing out, every time you wait for Allah instead of forcing your way, you are earning a reward so vast that only He can count it. But patience is not easy. It requires training. You build it the same way you build muscles through small daily struggles. You start by being patient in small things in traffic, in conversations, in your routine. And slowly, your heart learns endurance. Then, when life throws bigger tests your way, you are ready, because you have already trained your soul to submit, not complain. The Prophet said, whoever practices patience, Allah will give him patience. Meaning it's a gift that grows with use. The more you choose it, the stronger it becomes. Sometimes, patience means doing nothing but trusting Allah's plan. You might be tempted to take shortcuts, to compromise your values, to chase immediate comfort, but patience holds you back. It whispers, wait, what Allah has for you is better. And that's the essence of true faith, believing that what's written for you will reach you, even if it walks through fire to get there. So when you're tired, when you're broken, when you've prayed for years and nothing seems to change, don't give up. That very moment of waiting, that is where your faith is being refined. Allah is not testing you to break you. He is testing you to strengthen you. The hardship you face today may be the reason you find peace tomorrow. The unanswered prayer today may be saving you from something you don't yet understand. Patience is not just about enduring what happens to you, it's about how you behave while waiting for relief. You can either complain and lose reward, or you can stay steadfast and be elevated. And the patient person doesn't just survive hardship, they grow through it. They emerge from pain wiser, softer, closer to Allah. So hold on to patience like you hold on to your faith tightly, sincerely, and consistently. Let it be the calmness in your chaos, the strength in your struggle, and the light in your darkness. Remember that Allah sees you, He hears you, and He is closer to you than your own heartbeat. Your patience today is writing a story of faith that will one day make sense. Because in the end, patience is not waiting for the storm to pass, it is learning to stand firm in the rain, knowing that Allah is the one who sends it and the one who will bring the sun again. My dear brothers and sisters, one of the most profound realizations a believer can come to is understanding their asterisk, why asterisk, the reason they exist, the purpose behind their breath, their effort, their struggle, their pain, and their joy. When you forget your asterisk, why asterisk, life becomes confusing, heavy, and empty. You start to chase things that were never meant to define you. But when you rediscover why Allah created you, everything begins to make sense again. The noise quiets, the confusion clears, the heart finds peace, because your purpose becomes your compass, guiding you even through the darkest nights. Allah did not create you without meaning. He did not form your soul just to let it wander aimlessly. Every detail of who you are, your personality, your strengths, your weaknesses, your circumstances, they were all designed with precision by the one who makes no mistakes. He shaped you to fulfill a purpose only asterisk, you asterisk, can fulfill. Think about that for a moment. There are billions of people in this world, yet no one else can fulfill the exact purpose Allah has written for you. That alone should fill your heart with awe and responsibility. But too often, we forget that. We lose ourselves in distractions. We start measuring our worth by the standards of the world, by how successful we are, how beautiful we look, how wealthy we become, how many people notice us. We compare our journey with others and begin to feel inferior, as if our story is somehow less valuable. But Allah didn't create you to compete with anyone else. He created you to asterisk, complete asterisk, what He wrote for you. You are not in competition with others, you are in alignment with your own destiny. Rediscovering your asterisk, why asterisk means stepping back and asking, what does Allah want from me? Not, what do people expect from me? Because people will always have opinions. The world will always have distractions, but Allah's purpose for you remains constant. You were created to know Him, to love Him, to serve Him, and to walk through life in a way that brings you closer to Him. Every role you play as a parent, a student, a worker, a friend is simply a means to fulfill that higher purpose. When you live for your asterisk, why asterisk, even the ordinary moments become sacred. Waking up for Fajr becomes an act of purpose. Smiling at someone becomes charity. Holding your anger becomes strength. Working hard becomes worship. Because when you connect your actions to your Creator, everything transforms. The difference between a life of meaning and a life of emptiness isn't what you do, it's asterisk, why asterisk you do it. The same act, when done for the sake of Allah, becomes eternal, but finding your asterisk, why asterisk, isn't always easy. Sometimes life's noise buries it, sometimes pain clouds it, sometimes sin distances you from it, and sometimes you lose it simply because you stop reflecting. That's why the Quran constantly calls us to asterisk tafakkur, asterisk reflection, to pause, to think, to reconnect with the reason behind everything. When you slow down long enough to remember who created you and why, your priorities begin to realign. You stop chasing temporary things and start seeking eternal ones. The truth is, many people feel lost not because they lack direction, but because they've disconnected from their divine purpose. They wake up, work, eat, sleep, scroll endlessly, yet something inside feels missing. That emptiness is not because you don't have enough money or success. It's because your soul is starving for meaning. The body lives on food, but the soul lives on purpose, and that purpose comes only from Allah. So many of us say, I don't know what my purpose is, but Allah has already told us, asterisk, I did not create jinn and mankind except to worship me. Asterisk now, worship doesn't just mean prayer and fasting. It means living in a way that reflects your awareness of Allah in your work, your studies, your relationships, your struggles. It means that your every action is anchored in sincerity and obedience. When you live that way, your entire existence becomes an act of worship. And here's something beautiful. Your purpose isn't just about asterisk doing asterisk. It's about asterisk being asterisk. It's about becoming the person Allah intended you to be: patient, humble, compassionate, strong, disciplined, and devoted. You are not here just to collect achievements, but to cultivate a soul worthy of meeting Allah. That's why the most successful person isn't the one with the biggest house or the highest status, but the one who meets Allah with a heart at peace. When you rediscover your asterisk why asterisk, it changes how you see every hardship. You stop saying, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is Allah teaching me through this?" Because every test, every delay, every pain is not random, it is a part of your training. Allah is shaping you through the challenges you face, polishing your heart, refining your character, and strengthening your faith. You can't fulfill your purpose without struggle, because struggle is what awakens your potential. And sometimes, your purpose lies in the very place you tried to escape. Maybe that job you dislike is teaching you patience. Maybe that heartbreak is teaching you humility. Maybe that failure is pushing you closer to Allah. Sometimes, what you thought was breaking you is actually building you. Because your purpose is not just in success, it's in perseverance, in gratitude, in resilience, in trust. Living for your asterisk, why asterisk, also means detaching from people's validation. You don't need the world's approval when you have Allah's pleasure. The moment you live to please others, you lose yourself. But the moment you live to please Allah, you find peace, no matter who misunderstands you. Remember, even the prophets were misunderstood, yet they stayed firm because their asterisk why asterisk was clear. They didn't seek fame, comfort, or applause, they sought the pleasure of their Lord. To rediscover your asterisk why asterisk, you must spend time with Allah. Not just in prayer, but in reflection. Sit in silence sometimes, turn off the noise, talk to your Creator, pour your heart out in dua. Ask Him to guide you to your purpose, because the one who created you knows exactly why He did. He knows what will fulfill you and what will destroy you. The world tells you to follow your heart, but your heart was never designed to lead, it was designed to be led by revelation. Your purpose is not found in your emotions, but in your connection to the one who made you. When you begin to live with purpose, discipline becomes easier, because now your effort has meaning. You stop saying, "I'm tired," because you remember what you're working for. You stop saying it's too hard, because you remember who you're doing it for. Purpose gives you endurance. It gives you strength on the days you want to quit. It reminds you that every step you take, every temptation you resist, every tear you shed, it all counts. And the truth is, this world is temporary. Everything you chase here will one day fade. The only thing that remains is what was done for Allah. That's why living for your purpose is not just about success in this life. It's about preparation for the next. Every breath you take is an opportunity to write your legacy, not in the books of people, but in the record of angels. What will they write about you? Did you live with meaning, or did you drift through life without direction? My brothers and sisters, your life is not an accident. You are not here by chance. Allah created you with wisdom, placed you in this moment, in this generation, in these circumstances, because there is something only asterisk, you asterisk, can do. Maybe your smile will change someone's day. Maybe your patience will inspire someone's faith. Maybe your struggle will become someone else's strength. You may not see the impact now, but Allah does. Every good deed, no matter how small, is a part of your divine purpose. So live intentionally, live consciously. Wake up each morning with the reminder that Allah chose you for this life with all its challenges, blessings, and tests. Don't waste it chasing what doesn't matter. Don't trade eternal joy for temporary comfort. Anchor your heart to your asterisk, why asterisk, and let that guide every decision you make. Because when you live with purpose, even your smallest actions carry the weight of eternity. And when the day comes that you stand before your Creator, and He says, "I created you for a reason," you will be able to say, "Ya Allah, I tried. I lived for you." That is the moment every hardship, every struggle, and every sacrifice will be worth it.